All right, we are back, episode number 32 of the Plumecast. This is my weekly gaming news podcast where I talk about just stuff I didn't get to throughout the week. If you guys are new to the channel, this is your first video. I have this weekly podcast, plus I make daily Xbox content throughout the week, so make sure to go check out the channel. And hey, subscribe if you like what you see. But it's been an interesting week, lots of little news stories and then some bigger stuff that has come out, and there's a couple of things I want to go over on this episode. I want to first talk about, the biggest thing that we got just at the end of the week was just the leak that PlayStation is going to be releasing their Xbox Game Pass competitor in the spring. Battlefield 2042 continues to fall off, and there's some change that has come with DICE. And Halo Infinite, they continue to update it, so talk about some of the game modes that they are going to be adding to the mix. So those are the topics this week. We'll jump into it soon, but first I want to do my weekly beer. That's something on the podcast I do every week where I drink a beer, and I love to hear what you guys are drinking in the comments below. And this week is Dead Elephant from Railway City Brewing Co., and it is a 6.5% IPA. It has a sweet and fruity malts and slight candy and biscuit notes with a grape finish. So it should be pretty decent. Excited to jump in to that beer, start drinking it. And now moving on to what I've been playing. So this week I've been playing something that I can't talk about, and I've been playing some Halo Infinite multiplayer. Like, that's been the main thing. But I haven't been able to play as much other games as I would like to. So Halo Infinite multiplayer is a ton of fun. Trying to get through some of the weekly level up. The actual changes they have made recently with the XP, with like starting you off with 300 XP per match and then 200 and then 100 for the daily XP, has greatly increased the rate of what you get to the next level, and you can start unlocking stuff within the battle pass, which is good to see. There still definitely needs to be changes to it, but I'm of the opinion that they will do it. It's going to come. It's unfortunate they weren't able to get it out on release, have everything perfectly done. I think the main thing they need to do is just get those challenges more in line with the performance of your game, actually objectives. Because the more I play it, the more I am seeing, not for myself particularly, like I play it, I think about the weekly challenges, and I try to get them, but I still mainly focus on winning the match and doing the objective. But I think the more that I am playing it, I'm definitely seeing people just kind of not caring about the objective. Like, the oddball is the worst for it, where I've had people were literally at like 1 or 2 points away from winning, and it's super close. The other team's like maybe 5 points away from winning, and the guys on my team literally just run by the ball, trying to get their challenges rather than actually picking it up, and it's very, very frustrating, even in quick play. So when I've realized that, like, I want to get the weekly challenges, there's no way in my life with all the stuff that I do that I'm going to be able to keep up to finish weekly challenges and get the ultimate challenge every single week. It's just not going to happen. So I've kind of conceded to that, and I may just kind of stick to playing as we go through. Like, I'll play quick plays, I'll play big team battle just to kind of have fun, not worry, and just, pass the time, just have a good time, because the gameplay is so damn good. Like, this is going to be, there's so much potential here for this multiplayer. Once it's all the kinks are worked out, it's going to be the greatest ever. But I may just play rank, because rank people are playing for the objective, people are playing to win, and I have a decent time in rank. I'm not that great. I'm in like gold 5 with controller, and I probably will fall before I go up to platinum, so we'll have to wait and see. But I find it's fun because people have mics and they're playing to just, like, have fun, but also compete to win the game. Where when you're playing quick play and you're just kind of sitting back and just having a good time, I still kind of want people to play for the objective, and don't do that, at least in the recent matches I've had. But still, that's been spending a lot of hours in that. But we'll go over some of the new stuff that they added to the multiplayer later on within the podcast. So I want to jump over to the first thing here, which is going to be talking about the article that came out from Bloomberg, and it has to do with PlayStation's plans with their new service to take on Xbox Game Pass. So I'm just going to pull it up here. The article is showing up properly. Go. And this was broken by Jason Schreier, who works or writes for Bloomberg now. And this is what he has to say about this. So the service is codenamed Spartacus and will allow PlayStation owners to pay a monthly fee for access to a catalog of modern and classic games, and that it's gonna be available on the PS4 and the PS5. And obviously this information is coming from sources that can't be identified because they'll probably lose their job. They're getting in a lot of trouble, but they did leak this stuff to him. And that there's going to be like 3 tiers to this service. So it's going to merge Sony's existing plans, which is PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. And you're going to have the first tier, which will give you the existing PlayStation Plus benefits. The second, which would offer a large catalog of PS4 and eventually PS5 games. And then the third tier, which would add extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. Now, this is being touted as the big Game Pass competitor from Sony, but as we can tell here, and as it's been mentioned, I believe on Twitter from other people, and maybe even Jason himself within his Twitter feed, is that they are not going to be adding their first-party games day and date onto the service. So that's where the big gap, I think, is going to be between Xbox Game Pass and whatever this turns out to be. Now, there's going to be 3 tiers, so it'll be very interesting to see like how they price these tiers. The first one probably will be the same $5 a month, right? Yeah, they're going to add anything to that. Maybe reduce it if the next one's going to be closer to the $5, but I think they're going to go like $5 for the first tier, maybe like $10 for the second tier, and then $15 for something along those lines. But it's interesting how they're breaking it up in sections to give people, I guess, more choice on how they want to play, because I think there's like 50 plus million, don't quote me on the number, but I think there's a lot of subscribers on PSN just from how good like the PS4 did, and everybody had to sign up to play with their friends and everything. So they're going to get a lot of people who just don't want any of this, because if you look at like PSN numbers, I'm sure there's a huge percentage of gamers on PlayStation that are paying for PSN to play just like Call of Duty. Don't play anything else, or just play like a couple of games here and there. So they're probably just going to ignore whatever is put out with this, and they're not going to care about the PS4 and PS5 stuff that they're going to be putting into the service, or the older retro stuff. But they're calling it a Game Pass competitor. I don't think this is going to be a Game Pass competitor in any way, because they're not going to have their first party games day and date. However, it still could be a very good service. It could be a big upgrade to what they have right now. The thing that has me intrigued the most is the library of classic games, like the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games, because yes, Xbox has done a great job with their backwards compatibility, and they are really all for game preservation, which is one of the best things with the Xbox Series X and S. But when it comes to retro games like the PS1 and the PS2, it's have some incredible games on there that aren't on Xbox, right? And if they're able to dive deep into the catalog of those two consoles and give us pretty much like almost the entire thing, or at least a lot of their first party classics from back in the day, I think that will be a big bonus for a lot of people. I wonder if they're going to do things like Xbox is doing with the upgrading them, enhancing them, or if they're just going to give like the terrible emulation that we got from the PlayStation Classic, because that thing was absolutely brutal. And if they do that, then it's not going to be worth it, but we'll have to wait and see. And then the PSP as well, there's lots of great PSP classic games from that handheld. So I think they're going to have a huge catalog to pull from. It'll be very interesting to see how many they can get from these retro catalogs, and just what you're going to get access to if you sign up. But I mean, it's in no way a Game Pass competitor. It just isn't, in my opinion, without having first party games, without having day and date first party games. So we'll see how it takes off. But what's very interesting about this is, I guess we can end that argument of like Game Pass and subscription devalue games and hurt the gaming industry, when obviously that is not the case, is never the case. Since its inception has never been anywhere near a narrative that has been valid or true, but it's always been something that's been pushed from people who think that Game Pass is bad. And now we're going to see that entire narrative just be completely destroyed and turned around, because hey, if you're on PlayStation, you're probably gonna, like, if you're somebody who plays a lot of games, you're gonna be signing up to this service. And it just further shows the strategy that Xbox has employed and has been starting since the launch of Game Pass in 2017 has been the right and smart strategy, again ahead of the curve. Now, yes, PS Now was launched before Xbox Game Pass, but when they launched PS Now at first, it was just streaming. And it seemed like they didn't really market it much. It seemed like it was kind of a half-assed effort, to be honest. And the subscription growth to it hasn't been great. But Xbox Game Pass came in full force with allowing you to download games and then adding the first-party games day and date, and then adding xCloud in there and expanding the ecosystem to multiple devices. And that's the way that the industry is going. They are the leader in that, and PlayStation is going to follow. Nintendo may follow at some point, but it's just something that's like, it's like everything else we have right now in video games. I've always thought about this, and it's weird to me how nobody ever really recognizes it or talks about it. Is that Xbox has always been the leader when innovating in the video game industry in terms of the features that we have that give us value and make our lives easier and with gaming, and give us a better experience overall. When you think about Xbox Live, what that did with your friends list, with the party chat system, with the text system, with the cross-play stuff, like, always been Xbox that's been at the forefront of it. And I think that Game Pass is just another one that is going to give customers tons of value with these types of services that are going to be the future of game. Just like movies and TV have gone that way with their subscription services. So it'll be interesting to see. Really, really will be interesting to see. It's supposed to be coming out this spring. I will sign up for it. I will definitely sign up for this service if the selection is good, especially that third tier. If those classic retro games from PS1 and PS2, because if you've watched my channel, I always talk about how I love what Xbox is doing with their backwards compatibility. One of the biggest selling points to me on that console is the backwards compatibility stuff. And I always like to see what games I haven't played with, or haven't played yet, at least in my backlog, if they're original Xbox 360 games. It's just seeing kind of where gaming came from, because the last 3 generations, we're in an incredible generation right now of gaming with the Series X and the Series S, where games are just look amazing, play amazing. They're all going to age well. These games that we're getting today, the majority of them are going to be able to be played in 30 years from now, and you're going to be absolutely still like enamored and blown away by some of the stuff that you see. But I think with the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, there are still so many great experiences on those consoles that have completely aged well and are just as fun today as they were way back. That's why it's always great to go back into that catalog. It's different with like really retro games for me. Like, there's NES games I would never play again. There's Super Nintendo games I would never play again. There's PS1 games and N64 games I probably would never play again. I mean, a lot of them. That was a very like weird era. It was revolutionary because we had the 3D polygons, but a lot of those games have not aged well because of it was the first like 3D polygons. The controls are crap and the graphics just look terrible. So I don't know. I love the retro stuff, and if this service can deliver with some amazing PS1, PS2, mainly PS2, I would say for me, and even PS3, but the PS2 stuff, if they can deliver us like a lot of great PS2 stuff, that'll be cool. But I just, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be an Xbox Game Pass competitor if they're not putting their first party games on their day and day. I just don't see it. But we'll have to wait and see when this one releases. So we'll move on here, and let's talk about Battlefield 2042, because I find this super interesting. What's going on with this game? What's going on with DICE? Like, Battlefield was such a incredible franchise for so long. If you played it back in the day, like Battlefield 3 was awesome, Battlefield 4 was fun, Battlefield Bad Company and Battlefield Bad Company 2, and the series has just fallen from grace since then, which is completely unfortunate. I mean, it really first started with Battlefield 5 when people were complaining about it being unrealistic with some of the elements, and then DICE just said, hey, you don't like it, don't buy it, and people didn't buy it. I mean, that was the reaction, and good. I mean, if a company's going to tell you not to buy the game and you're not happy with what they're putting out and what they're presenting to you, don't buy the game. That's how you tell companies that you don't like what they're doing. People didn't buy it. And then Battlefield 2042, they showed off the announcement and the trailer of that. And man, I was pumped. Like, if you go back to, I'm sure I made a video talking about it as in part of my videos where I was like, yeah, this game looks awesome. Looks like it could be a great Battlefield game. I know it's only multiplayer, even though it's like a $60 price tag, but that multiplayer looks absolutely incredible that they're going to be able to continue to add stuff onto it. And then like the Battlefield portal, just getting stuff from all the Battlefield games. Like, to me, that sounded worth it. Honestly, it did. But I played the beta. It was crap. It was so many glitches. Like, I couldn't play it anymore after a couple of like under 30 minutes because I kept getting glitched out and just stuff popping in and out of the graphically. It was just terrible. And then I've played some Battlefield 2042 with the free trial on EA Access or Game Pass Ultimate, and I played the 2042 modes like maybe 2 or 3 matches, and I didn't have any fun, and I was still getting glitches. And then I went over to Battlefield Portal and actually had a good time. So the game is in dire straits right now, and they released it like, I guess maybe not half, but they released it not complete, just to get it out there. And they're going to continue to update it. So it's going to be months before this game is like really in a state where you're excited to jump in, I would say. I think it's very telling that for a lot of people I've talked to, that the Battlefield portal is the most fun part of the game for them, which is like, it shouldn't be like that. That should kind of be an accessory to the Battlefield 2042 modes, because it's a brand new game and with new maps and all that kind of stuff. And that, I think, alone tells you where the game is right now. But I think there's still tons of potential there. They just got to get it together. And you think they would have learned, like, you think these developers learn from the other developers that make the same mistakes. Like, if you did not learn from Cyberpunk 2077, then all of the, I guess, backlash or negativity that comes towards your game is kind of like your own fault, because obviously people don't want broken games at launch. They would rather wait. Yes, people will be annoyed. People will be pissed off that you keep delaying the game. But the backlash and fallout from releasing a broken game that you update live while people are playing, I think, at least from a PR standpoint, is much worse. Now, maybe they do it because they look at the numbers and they see that, hey, we'll get people angry, but we'll still make a lot of money in the period that we're actually finishing up the game. I don't know what it is, but there has to be some sort of monetary part to it, I would say, at least from the business side of things, at least from EA trying to hit like quarterly numbers or end of year numbers, stuff like that. That's probably why they pushed out. I doubt DICE was like, okay, yeah, let's get this thing out. We're ready. But hey, I could be wrong. So with all of that being said, somebody had to take the fall, and it was Oscar Gabrielson. I was going to say that, but it was Oscar Gabrielson, who has now been replaced by Vince Zampella, who, I mean, Vince Zampella is just like, or he's going to have oversight of the franchise. And Vince Zampella is the head of Respawn, which has just released banger after banger after banger. Every game they put out is like gold. It's been so good, like Titanfall 2, Jedi Fallen Order, Apex Legends, right? Like, every game they've put out has just been awesome. So to me, I don't know too much about Oscar Gabrielson. I wish him the best and all that kind of stuff, but I'm kind of like excited to see what's going to come out of Battlefield now that Vince Zampella is going to be overseeing the project, and maybe he can do a huge turnaround of 2042 and it becomes this huge theme, because I really wanted 2042 to be a good game. I really, really did. I know it was coming out around the same time as Halo, and I'm going to be spending most of my time with Halo multiplayer, but I would have been playing both. More Halo, but I would have been jumping back to Battlefield 2 if it turned out good, or 2042. And it's just a shame, because the concept, the trailer that they put out looked amazing, and it obviously is not amazing from what from what we see right now. Now, like they said, they're going to be continuing to put out like new games and or new updates and all that kind of stuff. But another thing I want to point out about all of this is that because it's been doing so bad, apparently like 70% of the players have dropped off since launch. Now they may come back. They may try to get the refund. I think there a refund or try to return the game or whatever. And once everything's fixed, they may come back. But this is a very, very telling story because I saw this tweet. Yeah, where is it here? I was in the comments and I saw a weird meme pop up with this. I went, but I saw this tweet and it blew me away. I guess it's true because this is from Tom Henderson, and Tom Henderson is a writer at VGC News and IGN and Real Gaming Intel. Has 110.2k followers on Twitter and like has been known for like really breaking news about like Call of Duty and first person shooters and stuff. And he says here that Battlefield 2042 has sold 4.23 million copies in its first week of sales, which is just like mind-boggling because that makes it the second best selling Battlefield game in its first week, behind Battlefield, which was a really like big game when it came out. Remember the Battlefield 3 launch and just how pumped everyone was that. So that's nuts. And he does say that this has been reported internally, so it's a pretty official. But at 4.23 million players, and right now 70% of people have dropped off, and their 24-hour peak last week or this week at some point was at like 30,000 players, which is nuts. Like that's crazy if they actually sold 4.23 million copies and 30,000 of them are only playing the game within a 24-hour peak. Because it started off with 100,000 as the all-time peak. This is a decent number. I mean, Halo Infinite has had like 250,000 or something like that, 230,000. And it brings me to the point of for games to keep current player numbers and keep just the steam rolling and get people excited. The thing you can compromise, you can change the battle pass progression, you can change the XP like they're doing within Halo Infinite. But if your game is broken as a foundational piece, people aren't going to play it. And I think this is a big, like, I think this is what difference between Battlefield 2042 and Halo Infinite show, is that Halo Infinite has, for a lot of people, big issues with the progression system, right? People really care about customizing their digital avatars, their digital Spartans. I I find it funny though when it comes to that, where it's like you have adults that are literally continuously outraged about spicing up their digital avatar. I don't know. I find it kind of weird, but because I like to get the stuff for my Spartan in Halo Infinite, but I mean, hey, I'm playing the game for the gameplay and the fun and playing with my friends and stuff like that, more so than like putting this shiny color on my Spartan. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. I'm not trying to, anyone out there who loves to spice up their or dress up their avatars online, totally cool with that. But for me, it's not a big deal. For me, the big thing is the gameplay and the foundational aspect of the game. Does it play well? Is it fun? And is it broken or not? And Halo isn't. Yes, there's problems with their progression system and their battle pass, but because the gameplay is done so well, people are staying on and people are still playing it, and those concurrent numbers are still high. Battlefield 2042, on the other hand, I don't know what their progression system really is like, but I haven't heard too many complaints and people talking about it. All I've heard people talking about is how broken the foundational aspect, the foundational gameplay, the graphics, all kinds of stuff is for this game, and the players are dropping off. So clearly, to me, it shows with first-person shooters, at least specifically, how important getting that foundational aspect of a game is. I hope, like I said, I hope they fix it. I hope it comes back strong, and that Vincent Pella can turn things around. We'll leave it at that, and we'll jump over here to Halo Infinite. Now, the progression system in Halo Infinite isn't the only thing that people have issues with. I'm out of all the things going on with Halo Infinite's multiplayer, the progression system to me is the least of my worries. There are two things that I am more concerned about, and one of them is going to be addressed soon. It is the game modes. Like, there should be more game modes in Halo Infinite. I mean, The fact that you can do things like make SWAT in custom games, but they don't have it in there as a quick play game mode is absurd. And the cheating, and I mean, they're going to have to do something with the PC cheaters. There's always going to be cheating, but hopefully they just add in in-game switch so you can choose whether you want to cross play or not. I just turn it off on my Xbox settings and I'm hoping it works, but I guess maybe sometimes it doesn't. Now, when it comes to the game modes, it looks like they are going to be adding by the end of this year Fiesta, which was they added for the event, which was a ton of fun. Tactical Slayer, SWAT, which is Tactical Slayer, which is SWAT, and then Free for All. So they're going to be adding those game modes by the end of the year. But they may not, they won't arrive in time for the official launch of the game, which is December 8th. And I'm happy to see that because SWAT's probably my favorite game mode in Halo multiplayer. I absolutely love SWAT, and I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't there at launch. But here is what John Yunsek, the community manager, says about all this. He says, our goal for events is to try new modes prior to adding to playlists. Why? I'm just reading this live right now. I didn't read this before, and I'm thinking, why? Especially if it's quick play and SWAT and Fiesta and Free For All these game modes have been around in Halo forever, right? And people enjoy them. What makes them think that they're not going to enjoy them now? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially if it's not ranked. Who cares? Let people have fun. Let them play what they want to play. I don't know why they're testing it with events before adding it to playlists. But it continues on here to say, we'll monitor playlist health after the 3 additions above and adjust our offering if needed, but we're excited to make these updates before the holidays. So they're going to monitor the playlist health. I guess they're going to be looking at how many people are playing it, like what the numbers are. Is it that much like work and effort to I guess upkeep these game modes or something? I'm truly curious as to why that really matters. But hey, they're adding it before the end of the year. So this holiday season, this Christmas, you're going to be able to play these game modes, which I think is a good thing. And when it comes to the Halo Infinite multiplayer, like there's so many different opinions on what they're doing and why couldn't 343 get all of this stuff out for launch with how big of a development studio it is, how much money Halo makes for them and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know if there's any like monetary reason behind it. Like, for example, they know if they don't put out these game modes or something, people are going to be less or more inclined to purchase like the battle pass and do the weeklies and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here as to why they wouldn't do it. But I don't know. I think 343, like I've said in all my videos, like I really think 343 listens to their community. I don't think there's really that much malicious intent with the studio when it comes to Halo. It's one of the best and biggest communities out there. There's always amazing feedback. I think more so than anything, there's just a lot to be done. There was the pandemic, and they don't want to release anything broken because maybe they're learning from Cyberpunk 2077. Maybe I have too much faith. Maybe I'm being too naive about this, but that's honestly how I feel about 343 because from my experience and from what I've seen is they've been open, they've been transparent, they've always communicated with their fans, and they're making changes. Not like they're sitting on their ass just waiting months and months to make changes. They've already made changes to the XP progression. They're probably going to continue to make more changes to it. Like, not probably, they will. And they're adding the game modes and they're doing all that kind of stuff. They're taking it slow. And I guess for some people, the patience of having to wait is just too much and it really angers them. For people, somebody like me who having a great time, there's so many games out there. Let's say I get bored of playing quick play and big team battle. I'll go play something else for a little bit until they add something into the Halo Infinite multiplayer. So it doesn't really concern me that much. And maybe that's why I'm thinking that, they are a good studio that listens and to their community and makes those updates, and we'll do it, and I'm just gonna be patient for it. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. I'm not too outraged about too much about Halo Infinite. Maybe because I'm such a big Halo fan. Just doesn't I don't really care, to be honest. I'm happy they're adding it in. I hope that they don't take their sweet time. But from what I've seen right now, I don't care because they are doing it faster, or at least fast enough for me. And we're going to get all the stuff and everything's going to be fine. And the gameplay is incredible. I'll just leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think about the Halo Infinite stuff. Let me know if you think I'm being too naive, and if you think that, 343 had some sort of malicious, or not malicious, but like bad intent with keeping game modes out and with the progression system. And again, it's a free-to-play game. I keep seeing comparisons about like Call of Duty to this, and Battlefield to this, and all that kind of stuff. And even like Destiny 2 and all that, and their battle pass or their progression system. Although people saying Destiny is like it's free to play now, but Destiny wasn't free to play for the longest time, right? You did have to pay. But the free to play aspect of it is they have to make their money in some way. There's going to be microtransactions. Like, the microtransactions don't affect the gameplay. If you're an adult, no one's forcing you to spend $20 on that skin for your Spartan. Like, that's completely a personal choice, completely up to you. They know people are going to do it, but it's a free to play game. The big company, it's a big corporation. Their goal is to make money at the end of the day. But at least they're giving us a good core foundation. Anyways, I'm gonna stop ranting on that. That's the way I see it. Love to hear your guys' thoughts, and let me know if you think I'm completely off base on that, or if you agree. But with that being said, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I'm going to end it there. And yeah, watch out for my videos this week. Watch out for I'll have some cool stuff coming out, so keep your eyes open for that. We have Halo's campaign dropping December 8th. Be a great time. I'm really excited to just get in and see and hear everyone's thoughts on the campaign, what they think about it, and all that kind of stuff, and see what the internet has to say about it. Not that it's going to affect how I feel about it when I'm all finished with it, but it'll be very interesting, and be a good week. Thank you guys again for the support. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune into my weekly videos from last week if you haven't. And almost Christmas time. I'm rambling on here, trying to figure out a good way to end this podcast, this episode. So I'll just leave it at that, and I'll see you guys next week. We'll be right back.